Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey everyone, Matt here from More on Running. Today we're going to be talking about neutral versus support shoes, what's the difference, and what you might need. Before we get into the difference between neutral and support shoes, there's a few things we're going to have to cover. One, we're going to talk about how your foot moves. Then we're going to have to talk about what the shoes actually do. Then we'll be able to talk about what shoe might match up based on what you need. Now, lastly, I got to tell you is, I can't tell you what you need. In order to actually get this done right, you should actually see a professional at a running store or a chiropractor or a PT or doctor to figure out what your gait actually is, to find the type of shoe that would match up best for you. And also, maybe it's something that maybe a footbed or an insert would help better. So before we get into all that though, let's first talk about how your foot moves and what that means. Now, there's three different types of the way your foot moves, and they all involve going from the heel to the toe. And I know some people might be like, well, I'm a toe runner, I'm a midfoot runner, I'm a heel runner. Doesn't matter. We're just talking about the normal movement of your foot from heel to toe. That is called pronation, okay? A lot of people think pronation is overpronation, in which the arch collapses. But regular pronation is actually the neutral movement of the foot as it lands on the outside of the heel, and then you go off the big toe as you go through. So your foot kind of rolls from the outside to the inside, but doesn't collapse in. When it collapses in and twists down by either the arch collapsing or the ankle forcing it over, that is overpronation. That means you've pronated too far to the inside. The other one is supination or underpronation. Now what that means is you land on the outside of the heel and you basically just stay out there the whole way through, and you go off the smaller toes most likely, maybe the big toe a little bit, but mostly you're to the outside. All right, so those are the three different types of movement for your foot. Now there's two different types of shoes. One is a neutral shoe and one is a support shoe. For people who pronate and overpronate, it's easy. Overpronators should be wearing a supportive shoe, and people that just regularly pronate, or neutral runners as we call them, should be wearing a neutral shoe. The difference is that a supportive shoe has devices built into it to prevent the foot from overpronating, or also supinating. It's basically to guide the foot. Now, the thing is though, if you're already a neutral runner and you have a device preventing you from rolling in, it's going to push you out. Likely, if you already were neutral and you have a device designed to prevent you from going out, it's going to push you in. Now, you have to find that right balance sometimes as well, but basically if you do collapse in, you should be wearing a shoe that's supportive to help prevent that collapsing in. Now, just to give you a little diagram, you have this, so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. So this is the shape of a shoe, toes up here, heels down here, and here, this side is the medial / arch side, same thing. Medial just means inside, all right? But then you have this right here. This is where the support will be for your arch. And then if you have a shoe with a supination control, it'll be more to the outside of the heel to prevent that heel from going out farther and keep it in. All right, so those are the two main areas where you're gonna find support. Different shoes do it differently, and in fact, it's really progressed a lot in the last few years, and you see a lot of different ways that different companies have tried to corral this. It used to just be, boom, there's your medial post, done, and runners like, yay, except then they weren't like yay because a lot of people were still getting hurt. This is where a lot of when people say supportive shoes are missed and not right, is because they used to be garbage, but they've gotten a lot better. So anyone who says that supportive shoes don't make a difference doesn't really know what they're talking about, and they're just talking generally and probably trying to sell you their training program. All right, so don't bother listening to them. All right, so if you overpronate, which means you collapse inwards, you want a supportive shoe. If you supinate, which means you go outwards, generally a neutral shoe that's stiffer and just some support shoes will help guide you more to that neutral gait. And if you're a neutral runner, don't get a supportive shoe. You don't want it. Now, you might be wondering, well, which one's best to be? Neutral or overpronating or supinating? To be honest with you, it doesn't really matter, because whatever your natural gait is, that's the way you are. And you're fine. There's options for you. You can run. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Be like, oh, I wish I was a neutral runner. Screw it. Okay? It doesn't matter. You're perfect the way you are. All right? And that's one of the things you have to remember. Don't get caught up in, oh, well, I need, my arch is collapsing and I need support. This really stinks. My life sucks. No, it doesn't. There's ways to deal with it. Okay? And you'll be fine. All right, so we talked about the 3 different ways your foot move, and we have actually briefly covered support shoe versus neutral shoe and who wants which one. All right? Now, when it comes to the mechanisms that are there on a support shoe that you don't have in a neutral shoe, there's a few different ways of doing it. One, at the arch area, they will have this right here, which is called a medial post. This has changed a lot over the years, and you'll see many different ways of seeing it done now. Instead of just being one block of foam, it might be a little plastic that comes up, or just a more dense foam than what the rest of the shoe is made of. There's a lot of gray area in how it's done, which is great because everyone overpronates differently, the people that do. All right. Out here, you'll find this either on top of the midsole or worked into the midsole in the supination controls. All right. And that will always be to the outside here just to prevent that extra rolling out. Some shoes will combine both and have an area here and here. All right. Or go down all the way through and just to help really lock a shoe into that position rolling through. Some of those shoes can be used by neutral runners, but it's really a crapshoot. And those shoes are also generally made with a neutral and a support version. So if someone's saying that, hey, yeah, you can wear the support version, it's fine. You know, you're a neutral runner, but this one's designed to work for both. Just get the neutral version that they make because every single one of those shoes has a neutral version. And if they need it, if it worked for everybody, why would they make the neutral version, right? I mean, come on, it's dumb. All right. Now, the thing we have to talk about still is footbeds, aka inserts. Now, the industry is trying to call them footbeds now to make them a little more accessible because inserts kind of sounds like a big clunky thing that you need and doesn't really sound fun. But footbed sounds a little bit more like luxurious, comfortable, soft. It's about bringing the shoe to your foot. And in a way, it really is actually about that. Because if you look at most shoes today, take out the sock liner. You're like, but isn't that the insert? No, if you buy a shoe, what comes inside is called a sock liner. It's basically this thin little piece of fabric with nothing to it, and it's basically like a welcome mat for your shoe, okay? It's just something, throw it in there, done. And you also notice that through the arch area, there's no contour, nothing comes up, nothing comes to meet you. It's because shoes don't have actual arches built into them because everyone's arches are different. So when you're asking for arch support, it's not quite true. We have overpronation support that catches the arch as it comes down into the shoe. But if you just want something to hold the arch or meet the arch, you're not going to find that unless you add one of these. Now, these are 3 different brands, 3 of the big ones that you see a lot of places. But basically, as you can see on this one, it has this little ridge and everything that comes up. And this is how it meets the arch. It's not just flat. It's a little bit stiff and everything to it. This one here, a little bit more plastic underneath and everything, makes it a little bit more rigid. And then this one here doesn't use any plastic or anything. This is actually kind of like a special 3D printed one. But you see how high up it comes in here through the arch and everything to really hold things in place. They all do it differently. It's about finding what works best for you. Some people, these can be game changers and make your running life so much better. Other people, you're not going to notice the difference and you're not going to care. If this is a game changer, makes your life better, I'm one of those. They make my life better. I use all 3 of these. It's worth the money. If you don't notice it, then why waste the money? Okay, that's what it comes down to. So next time you're in the next nice run specialty store and they bring these out for you to try it. And if you don't like it or don't really notice it, you don't have to get it. But so many people just think they don't want it or think they don't need it, think it's some kind of crappy upsell thing just to get more money out of you. And it's really not that. These can change your life, okay? They changed mine. Made everything so much better for me in running. I have less injuries, less knee pain, my T-band's a lot better, and I'm putting more miles on each week. All right, in fact, this past year, I've had a 250 mile month. I'm about to do another 250 mile month. Before that, the most I ever did was 180 miles, and I already have 7 marathons under my belt. So those help a lot. But anyway, it's up to you. All right, so those right there, the one thing you need to know about inserts and footbeds though, if you need a supportive shoe, you want to get a neutral footbed, or you want to get a supportive footbed with a neutral shoe. Putting support on support is too much and will push you out, all right? Because that's what they're both designed to do. Unless you're a real special case where the supported shoe is not giving you enough, even if you go to a much higher level support shoe, then having a supportive insert makes sense. But if you're just a regular, normal person, like not normal, but more run-of-the-mill average, then it's going to be way too much. Support always sounds like a good idea, but it's not. It's basically like if you give your feet too much support, like you give children too much support, your children will never move out and they'll stay with you until you're long and dead living in your basement, and your feet will be the same way. They will never get better, never improve, and just drag you down for a long time. Sorry kids, but move out. Anyway, so when it comes to running and choosing the inserts, you gotta make sure you want to mix those two. If you need support, mix neutral and support, all right? And if you're neutral, it's always neutral. Never throw a support in there, okay? Because otherwise that's just gonna force you out and screw up your gait. All right, I know there's a lot thrown at you, and also I didn't really help you find out what the right shoe is for you, because you can't find that out on the internet. You have to go to a store, you have to get fitted, you have to go see a PT or a chiropractor or your doctor and have them do a gait analysis to find out where you should be first. And then you can pick the shoes. Click on the link to the article, and you can have this actually explained out a little bit better, hopefully. And there is some links to some shoe options based on which category you are. After you get checked out, if you go to a chiropractor or something and they don't know anything about the shoes, you can check out some of those shoes, but just know there's other shoes out there that's available too. All right, so hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of More on Running. I'm Matt, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
For me, work, for me, work, the body for me, what?